Okay, repeat after me. I believe that I belong to the earth. I belong. May my life be a song. May my song feed the earth. So if you want to sing, come here. I believe that I belong to the earth. I belong. May my life be a song. May my song feed the earth. Well, I believe that I belong to the earth. I belong. I belong. I belong. I belong. I belong. I belong. Yeah, that was by Mo Washburn.
Okay. Greetings, everyone. Welcome back from what it is you got into this morning, this afternoon. Come join us. Come sit close. We have an incredible lineup of some of our beloved artists and facilitators here to have a panel on cultural regeneration. Oh, that's way better. Thank you. Yes. So, we're going to start with this question to introduce ourselves of who are you and who do you come from? And we're going to answer first, but who are you and who do you come from? Yeah. Want to start?
Sure. All right, I'll go ahead and start. My name is Ashley Bond. I come from Celtic, Germanic, and Scandinavian descent. My peoples are from Scotland, England, Germany, and Norway. And I currently live on the lands of the Chinook Multnomah people in the Cascadia bioregion.
My name is Sonia Robin. And I come from really fierce people. I come from really fierce, resilient people. And a lot of them, a lot of different kinds of people. And they're all fierce.
I resonate. I'm Lydia Violet Farshid Hartunian. My parents are Emin and Shahrazad Hartunian. My grandparents are Terez and Hamlet Hartunian and Fakhro Sadat Saidi and Hussein Farshid. My family is from Iran and Armenia, and I grew up in New Jersey, and now I live on unceded Ohlone territory in Berkeley, California, and I come from a family of warriors. It's hot in that room when we're all together.
Aaron Johnson. I come from Alice and Travis Johnson. Folks survived slavery on both sides of my family. We have ancestral bones in Castor, Louisiana. Recently found the gravesite of a great-grandmother there. I live in Southern California in the Mojave Desert, and that's where I spend a lot of my time, but also travel a lot in this work of dismantling oppression. And a lot of preachers in my family, in my immediate lineage, and so my DNA has been shaped around that influence. So I'll do my best to speak and not preach, but it's in my bones as a part of my lineage.
My name is Alex Somas, and I come from this continent. I identify as a native Northern American of multiple tribal and detribalized people of North and South of the contrived United States Mexican so-called borders. And I come from a really big family that really informs the way that I carry the spirit of belonging. A lot of ancestors who fed each other and gathered together in big number. There were 600 people at my parents' wedding, and there were 70 people in the hospital when I was born. So this is a big part of what I carry and what I come from and what I teach Native people of this land gathering together.
Squachel Siam Nishtilacha Chiokten Senasnach Late San Uthusainich Leatula Siam Yisan Tachel Swahela Siam Nishtilacha. I am Chiokten from Husanich Nation, and it's good to see each and all here. I have good feelings in my heart on this day. We are people of the saltwater. We are people of the Longhouse Way. We are people of the Canoe Way and potlatching and the cedar tree. And we are people of intention. So that's what our elders told us. I know it's true. Creator created all things with intention. So we observed, listened, and we create with intention as well. So that's a way of respect. Osiem Haiska.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sarah Tone. I come from a bunch of Western European people who have been colonized for a very, very long time and lost their original languages a long, long time ago so successfully that those campaigns went out into the rest of the world to do the same thing to everybody else. They made that attempt to wipe out languages and culture. And so the little tiny bit that I remember from my European ancestry in the Isles of Ireland and England is, I'm going to say, Arish, Aris, Bradan. Come home, salmon. Come home, salmon of remembering. And I say that on this beautiful unceded land. I grew up in the Duwamish lands, and I live now on the Multnomah lands and the City of Roses on the Big River in Chuana, and I give thanks.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so here we are gathering, and I mean, our people have been gathering. People have been gathering probably since we've been around, right? How many drums did you say there were?
15,000.
So Lydia has taught me that there are 15,000 drums, percussive instrument, 15,000 percussive instruments that we know of. So just think about what it means for a second to have a drum on the lands where you come from, the lands your people come from, to have 15,000 drums and instruments. Just what does that mean? The ceremonies, the healing, the work, tending of the land. And so here we are in 2025 in the so-called United States of America, where we've faced a complex history of colonization, of assimilation, of erasure, of displacement. And when I think about the colonization of peoples, of culture, there are probably as many stories and nuances to the experience of colonization as there are cultures and as there are stories. Stories of people's lineages, right? So, yeah, just holding that for a minute.
I'd like to talk a little bit about what is cultural regeneration. What does the word regeneration mean? And to me, what that means is growing new life, trying to bring more life into being. And so throughout the past thousands of years, what's been happening is this systemic erasure of culture through dominance and control and power. And what I've been learning and seeing is the connection between biodiversity and cultural diversity. And so this regeneration of land tending and regenerating the earth is also connected to culture and people. So seeing systems that are extracting the land and clear cutting is also connected to people being banned from using their instruments, from using their drums, people losing their languages, not being allowed to use them. And so it's so important to regenerate the land and the culture so we can revive all of the things that are being lost. I recently went to my ancestral lands of Scotland on a 3-week pilgrimage, just returned a couple days ago. Made my first drum on those lands from a deer that was killed on the land that I was on, and I learned through that process that the drums of my lineage were also banned from Christianity, from the Catholic Church, and they were hid as agricultural tools for sifting seeds. So there's no back to the drum, it's just a seed sifter.
And you know how many generations they were banned for? 7. 7. You know that trope, white people don't have rhythm? Your drums were banned for 7 generations.
Thank you.
I'm just saying, it's in there.
And so I just want to share quickly from that story that I could just feel on that journey the oppression of these systems, and I had to go touch ancient stones to try to remember what was lost in my lineage, and that the earth remembers and the earth knows. And so just trying to root that connection between the earth and people and regenerate that.
Thank you. And so, I just said the thing about, right, there are as many stories and nuances to the erasure as there are people's cultures, and from some of my people, my African diasporic peoples especially, there is incredible, brilliant technology of preserving culture in the ways that culture has been regenerated over and over again. And so here we are in this moment, right? In this moment of working to understand what does cultural regeneration mean for us right here at the Conscious Growth Convergence 2025, so-called United States of America, Oregon, right? What does that mean for us right here in this time? And so we wanted to open it up to our incredible, brilliant panelists here and start with the question of what are the elements of cultural regeneration that you're attuned to in your work? And also, what are some of the barriers and misconceptions, misunderstandings that you encounter in that?
I don't have to go first.
Yeah, anyone can start.
Yeah. Well, regeneration of the land, to me, has a lot to do with our indigenous people returning to the land, because we don't have access to our land. We have a lot of laws that were created by men to keep us away from the land, to privatize everything. So when indigenous people are on the land, we are healing the land. We're bringing more food to the land. We are creating paradise. And we can prove we've done it. We can prove that we co-created paradise for tens of thousands of years, at least from where I'm from, the Salish Sea. So to consider any form of regeneration, we have to think about land back. Indigenous people around the world make up 12% of human population. And we watch over and protect with our lives 87% of global diversity. So if we want to heal this place, we have to unsow the doctrine of discovery. We have to burn the Indian Act over there in what they call Canada. And anyone who believes in all of that garbage that they wrote, that a man wrote, that God gives you the right to dominate everything and kill everything and destroy everything from an adolescent culture that lost their elders and then landed here and destroyed elder society people, I would like to have a private talk with you. Yeah, you can clap for that. Because those are lies. Those are lies created to erase indigenous people and completely annihilate everything that keeps us alive. So to heal the land, you have to put indigenous people back on the land and not keep us away. If you preserve land, preservation in the so-called United States of America is an act of racism. There were African American women who first wrote these beautiful words, and then white men co-opted them all. And John Muir wrote that our people who lived at Yosemite, soil the beauty of this place. Our faces soil the beauty of this pristine land. That's racism. That's called erasure and to erase indigenous people. And so we need to get our people back on the land. We need to support any form of land back, any form of it, as long as indigenous people have a place. Because we're barely here, for one, after all of the genocide and all of the stuffing of our children in death camps that they called schools. Tsleil-Waututh, our neighboring tribe, were 15,000 strong like we were. They counted 17 people when they were said and done. Our tribe, Wasanich, had only a handful of families that survived that genocide. So we know what genocide's about. We know about being removed from the land and being put on a postage stamp to live. When we had absolute freedom and we had all the teachings of the circle of life in our hearts, every child. So I just want to say that first. Heiska, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jokten. Regeneration. I'm reminded of a time when I was in college, they had us go into a youth facility to help kids rehabilitate. And there was a big reality check that a lot of these kids had never really had a good chance at being rehabilitated in the first place. So there wasn't any rehabilitating happening. There was just like actually getting some ethics and teachings and giving some of these kids that had a really hard time. And I see in the cultural void of Western expansion, not just here in the so-called United States, the Western expansion, the lack of culture, the lack of lineage, and a lot of the attempt to repair. And it's at the same time trying to learn and repair at the same time. It's like the candle's burning on both ends. We're like working and working at the same time, trying so hard to take care of that which is messed up behind us. And the one little glimmer of hope I have found, there's more than one. I don't want to sound too sadistic, but when I had the realization in my heart in a deep way that I needed to do my own ancestral work, and at the same time living on this land and what we love to call now the Cascadia bioregion, but with so many other names before, and really looking at the watershed and really bringing the awareness back to the land itself. Well, there's so many innate parts with that in regards to healing and remembering and perspective shift that needs to happen, because the cultural norm or the uncultural norm of the Western expansion mind is resource extraction. And it's a plague. It's the same plague that took people out. It took culture out, and now it's resource extraction. And now the salmon don't have the cold enough waters to come home to. The orcas don't have enough food to eat, and we're destroying the literal lungs of the planet directly around us. When I realized that I could do my ancestral work as salmon people and ask my own ancestry to help me be a better neighbor, a better visitor, a better human on this land right here on this salmon nation, I felt a little bit more hopeful. I felt more strength behind me. I felt a lift and also doors that opened where for myself as a musician and an activist and an educator, where some doors opened and I could be helpful. I got to be helpful in land back movements. And there was invitations to come use my voice and use my allyship. And I'm blessed for that. I'm thankful for that and that those doors opened. But regardless, perspective shift in regards of how we even perceive land. And that for the most part, when we leave this nice gathering, we go right back into the world where resource extraction as a concept and as a way of life is the norm. That's why we have to have dams. That's why we have to cut down trees. And well, we have to. And it's just this like kind of oblivious, blasé thing, kind of like, well, you have to be Christian. What else would you do? And it's just like there's nothing beyond that question. So I guess I implore myself, I implore my own ancestral work, I implore to you, like, what else, how can we shift our perspective in regards of how we are here on this land, especially in regards to water, how that affects everything. So forests, salmon, whales, and now the words that we're not allowed to use, like climate change and emissions. Yeah. And that's just another form of it. Now here it is, English dominant language all around the world, and we're being told which words we can't use now. This week, we got told we can't use these words anymore. So that's the micro version of a big macro issue, a big macro plague that we've had on the earth for a long, long time. And we're all holding that in our bodies. So I'm going to pass the mic off, but thanks for hearing those words. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I can go. Curious if you could call out your known ancestral cultures that are generally here. So Persian, Armenian, just call them out.
Italian. Irish and Gaelic.
Is that it? I feel like there's a couple more.
There's got to be so much more.
At least. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Of course, honoring, I'm saying known, because I know for some of us we don't know, and some of that is from history of oppression.
I don't know very much.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the people who don't know very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think maybe a way that I'll answer that question is I'm kind of, I guess when it comes to culture, focused on here, this so-called country, and that we're a 98.5% diasporic country, which means that 98.5% of us are not where the majority of our ancestors spent their time. And then we all come here and come together as guests, wake up here, and then we try and build society together. And it's not going that great. And so being that one of the primary kind of parasites that I see culturally is dehumanization, I am really interested in all of us researching and finding humanity-preserving traditions in our ancestral cultures. So for me, that comes in the form of songs, stories, foods, dances, ways of supporting birth, ways of supporting death and dying. And so the work that I teach, Tending the Bones, is a class where everybody studies some of these things. You try and do the work of learning. Can you learn one story from beginning to end that you resonate with, that seems to bring a humanity-centered lesson in it? Because something I was noticing is that in a lot of the social justice work I was doing, I kept feeling like something was missing. And I think this is the piece that for me was missing, so that all of us had something to stand on, understanding that resistance is an ancestral skill, that preserving humanity is an ancestral skill. Even and especially, I think you know about living in small pockets of wisdom-centering communities, and that practice is ancestral all over the world. Even in countries that were dominated by power systems that used the parasite of dehumanization to oppress their own people and others, to enact genocide, erasure, and resource extraction. So I guess that's where I'm coming from. Do you want the challenge? That's a lot of talking in a row. Okay. I guess I see, okay. One major challenge. Oh, it breaks my heart when I hear white people say, I have no culture. I know it feels like that. Because that's what severance does. And alongside that, I've only heard that phrase from white folks, so that's why I'm centering from there. Maybe there's other diasporas of people who also feel that. So going alongside that, all of the excuses people will say or use to not simply look at their own, just to turn and look back. Well, what if in a past life I felt I was, from Ethiopia? Cool. I'm still asking you to look at the ancestral culture of this now. What I'm not going to find anything there. How do you know? You haven't looked yet. The one that I have a lot of compassion for being afraid of the pain that you might feel or see when you look. Okay. It's my experience that if whatever we don't take care of, we leave for someone else to take care of. Often the people who have been receiving that end of that pain in our local community. So it's still there, it's still ours, and that the humanity-centered things that you find become pillars that help us metabolize the painful things. It's kind of a win-win. And then the other challenge is I've noticed, and many of us have talked about this in the last few years, that sometimes the way pain presents itself in our communities in repair work that we're trying to do can have a punitive edge. And in that way, we're not actually ascribing to the abolitionism that we truly want. That the pain that edge comes from is very understandable, but at the end of the day, punishment is not a path to community liberation. And it's created some fear, some silence, confusion. Well, how do I metabolize this so that I'd like to vote for a pivot from just compassionately together, pausing any punitive dynamics that might be in the space and pivoting to restorative justice and trying to practice that together. So those are some of there's more, but those are some challenges. But it's so worth it. It is so worth it, because can you imagine all the cultures that just if all of us had songs and stories and dances and from those places, what this community in this place could be, and then maybe we'd have very authentic empathy for the people who have gone through genocide and erasure here, and maybe we would know how to be even better guests here. That's all.
Can you read the question again?
Yeah.
Just to help me sit with it.
All right. So the question, what are the elements of cultural regeneration that you're attuned to in your life and work? And what are some of the challenges and barriers that you face in that?
Perfect, thank you. I appreciate all the shares, but my brain was like in your shares. Well, there was a question there. One of the things I can notice that I'm attuned to right now is I've been surprised initially, and now it feels more familiar, is how when an oppressed population does a human activity, like holding hands and listening is some of the work that I'm doing, and it sends the broader community into a panic. Like, why, how dare you as a black man sit and hold another black man's hand and listen? Like, why, how'd you even think of that? Like, that's a radical idea. And it's just a marker of how many times we'll do a human thing, and because it doesn't serve capitalism or a system, it starts to feel like a real interruption. So I think for me, I'm really been noticing the power of reclaiming simple parts of my humanity and culture and then standing on it, like not moving from it, not altering from it, inviting folks to support and back it. And I think in my own personal work, Dark and Tender, and that work, it's a simple activity, a simply platonic, nonviolent touch between one brother and another, right? And knowing that everyone could benefit from this, but prior to 2 years ago, when I Googled for a video or a clip of two brothers holding each other platonically, Google could not give me any image or a clip, not a single clip, right? 2 years ago, this is not 100 years ago, 2 years ago. And so I say that because that is a marker of what I had to cultivate. And Google's not my only litmus test, but there's a way in which those kind of simple activities that I am really attuning to. Simple. Can I hold you? Can I stay with you as just a human and really hear your story? And I would say also, I've seen in this unique environment, it's a little better, but I think the ability to really tap into the rigor, oftentimes unsexy practice of listening to each other and being very clear about who you have least attention with, like who you have a hardest time listening to, fill in the blank. I'm really tracking that piece of really getting the skill of saying, I could listen to fill in the blank population forever. I could just sit in a meditation, hear them, and some folks, 10 seconds, I'm already losing attention. Like tracking that. What does it mean to use your time well, but have the ability to hear those voices, stories, experiences skillfully, and then that could be a motivation. And I think challenges, I'll probably be succinct here, and to try to be irrelevant to this particular group, I said this in my workshop, and I say this in a lot of my trainings. I have been amazed I feel like we've probably tapped into 10% of our actual ability to shift the culture here. Like we're barely getting started. Like this is like, there's so much more here. And I feel like talk to folks, they're like, it's so big. I was like, no, we have so much profound power just in this immediate room. And I would say one of the challenges I would say too, and I want to honor entertainment on some level, but I think entertainment in the United States has been smothering a lot of our magic. There has been points I've been watching gatherings like this where magic is happening and it's being confused as entertainment. And I just want us to know the difference. There's a way that it gets fuzzy. And I want to say that with respect to all those that are creating, but I find myself like, I love dancing, I love singing, but this is deep medicine. This is medicine that I think sometimes just gets put into the bucket of entertainment, and it's a challenge because I think there's a part of the Northwest, I'll say, and particularly this region, where we're good at entertainment, and we get real exhausted when it's time to swim in the medicine, and it's like no one wants to buy the ticket to that. They want to buy the ticket to the entertainment. But I feel like we really need to be able to buy, or not even buy, but show up for that medicine, identify when it's happening, even if it's mixed in with the environment that's trying to center on entertainment. And that's been a challenge because I believe in joy, I believe in pleasure, I believe in rest, I believe in all those things, but I feel like we're getting a little gluttonous on the entertainment and not really understanding what's being offered. And so I think that's part of the reason why we haven't tapped in to our full potential of shifting the bigger culture of healing and make it more accessible. I think we're on the path, but I feel like that's what I see as a concern, and I'm trying to really honor that line because I'm not one to come and say don't have fun. I think there's plenty of fun in medicine, but I think there's a way that we got to be careful about how we wield this magic of music and dance and drum and really notice what we're looking at when we're looking at it.
You guys breathe with me. I have a lot of gratitude right now. Thank you. My work in cultural regeneration is mostly with ancestors right now. So what I'm seeing that is needed is an ancestral reclamation worldwide within all of our cultures who have been impacted by empire, and a restoration of dignity to these ancestral lines. There's just so much walking woundedness and soul loss and this loss of what it means to be a people. And so my work, I call it the Collectivity Project. It's mainly focused on restoring this sense of what it means to be human and really calling back in our true human nature, being one of belonging, of reciprocity, and of deep devotion to land and to spirit. And so it's really a blessing to see it emerge in this new way, right? We're not just calling back who our ancestors were, but we're co-creating a multicultural future. So we're also reclaiming the future ancestors who know how to do this in a good way, multi-species, multi-spirit, multicultural. So I'm praying to them and I'm calling them in and really enlivening this ancestral technology of prayer itself. One of the biggest impacts that I'm seeing from empire and colonialism is we lost our ability to pray, right? A lot of us have these connotations of this prescriptivist way of prayer that does not feel authentic. Some of us were lucky to really enjoy the prayer that we were growing up in. And even then, there's something so much deeper that we know in our tissues and our bones that is a spiritual sovereignty and agency, and it is time for us to call it back and to reclaim it. And so it really matters who we're praying to and how we're praying. And to wake up in the morning and with breath, with feeling the body, it's an offering, right? Times of grief when we feel like we're past our capacity, when the answers aren't here, I'm starting to give that as an offering. Times when I am like completely out of my depth, when something hurts in a way I can't understand it, I don't know what else to do. Now I know what to do. I make it an offering. I say, this is for you. This is for the earth. May I be changed. May I be expanded in this discomfort. And so this is my area of cultural regeneration, really recognizing that ancestors are beyond bloodlines. I'm noticing that a big aversion to ancestor work is that a lot of us either have numbness or shame or straight up guilt about our ancestry. There's this narrative and this story of bad ancestors, and it's not true. Colonialism is new to us as a species, right? A lot of us impacted my people about 500 years ago, European heritage people maybe 2,000 to 10,000 years ago, depending on how you define it. My elder Lawrence Cole defines it with the dominion of nature, of monocropping, right, of owning land. And so just really wanting to speak into this space, this awareness that all of our ancestors came from village belonging. All of our ancestors came from rich cultural heritage, song that was informed by language of the land, how water sounded over rocks and rivers, wind through trees. And the loss of that language is such an impact because it showed us how to pray, how to be bioregional, place-based. And now we're here, right? So we're rooting that in reality. How do we learn the language of this land? It's here. There's records. We can literally learn the language of a lot of the land we're on now. So merging, right, who we were, we had these things, these practices, and where we are now, and how we can meet that in a good way. And in that way, we become the future ancestors that we're praying for, who are holding dignity and respect from the ways that our ancestral lines interacted. So what I'm seeing can be a holdback to that in these spaces. We've all heard this word spiritual bypassing, right? It is so painful. There's so much frozen grief, right? Thousands and thousands of years of trauma, colonialism, witnessing our people be publicly executed. I mean, so much that we could name. Women, medicine carriers, something like 9 million women in Europe, I read, were murdered for working with plants. And so just breathing into that pain, that ancestral hardship, and giving some softening there. Some dignity. Our ancestors were good. Our ancestors were whole and nuanced with stories just like ours. And just speaking to this space, the ancestors who were doing, the brunt of that colonial work, I guess it was 0.02%, the leaders, right? These folks who maybe weren't simply held when they were babies, developing these loss of empathy. And then most of the other folks just following suits to protect their family, right? So we have this story that maybe our ancestors were just angry or evil and just resting, offering that to rest. That is not true. Our ancestors were human and good and whole and belong here. And so that's a big part of my work. And what I'm seeing is hard to be in these spaces, working with the continent of this land and coming from the belonging that I do with my family. is we're really still unraveling this myth of individualism that colonialism has given to us. And so it's little things that I notice that, well, so to give some tips, like when you go get some napkins, get napkins for your friends. When you go to fill your water bottle, maybe there's an elder around that you can ask, hey, can I fill your water bottle? Or your friend that's sitting by you. Maybe there's a chair you can carry closer to someone who looks like they could use it, offering your chair. Noticing when you walk, what you're stepping on. Are you stepping on somebody's things? How can we move carefully and slowly and really reclaiming every act of dignity and kindness as a soul retrieval? Really, really slowing down, because empire gave us urgency, right? We were surviving, we were moving fast. And we're safe here, right now. And a lot of people are not safe right now, but we're privileged, we're safe. We are in the heart of empire. So how can we orient this privilege to slowly reclaim that dignity, to make that an offering and a prayer, to walk a little gentler, to notice who else can I take care of right now? Because we are not just ourselves. We are all the ancestors in our bodies, and we are everyone around us. So as we think of collective healing, as we maybe terms like enlightenment, right, moving forward as a species, it really is collective. We are not healing if we're doing it alone, right? Then we're sedating if it's alone. So it's only together. So take a breath with me into that, to the we, the village, inherent in our bones. And I'll end on the note of not just recalling who we were, right, our deepest nature, but also who we're becoming, a multicultural people that is a people. We haven't done this before. It takes our best creativity, our imaginal selves of dying to what was and making that an offering, humbling ourselves to what we don't know and reckoning that we are going to harm inherently, right? Not confusing intention with impact. We are going to mess up and it's necessary to do the work. So really softening to be able to receive the feedback that we need to be able to share space in these new ways. To say, I didn't know that was how to respect you. Thank you for teaching me how to respect you. Noted. Humbled. Uncomfortable. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, dignity to our ancestors. Blessings to our ancestors. We're here now and we're doing it.
Can we take a minute and just hold the earth? Just hold and be held, if you're able. Just allowing whatever is swirling, flowing, beating in you to feed the soil, to feed this camas meadow here, so that the camas can come back stronger next year. And so that when they bloom, they hold the memory of what was just laid down here, the wisdom that was just laid down here. I want to take a moment and just honor the incredible depth and practice of these 5 individuals here that have offered us just this incredible medicine, have offered us this gift for our lives, for the lives of our children, the lives of this earth. Thank you. Thank you.
I had one challenge, if I could bring that out,
Please.
about cultural revitalization. And I want to thank everyone for their beautiful words, and our sister for those words about our ancestors. Because I always say, we all have beautiful ancestors, each and every one. We're all indigenous to Mother Earth from somewhere, in some point in time. And that indigeneity was violently removed from us, violently removed from most people on these lands. And I believe it's our job to get home to that place where we are holistically well. Indigeneity is about being holistically well. And right here, especially. And then you take that holistically well human and you create a holistically well world. So that's something we need to consider, and consider our ancestors here as that was spoken, and and give them food. Feed them. It's our traditions. I know that indigenous people feed their ancestors. So put out some food before noon, somewhere special where it feels good. Maybe where nobody's watching, but it doesn't matter. Feed the ancestors here, and they will sit on your shoulder. If you honor them, they're waiting for you to honor them and make a connection with them, because we all are related, each and all. And they will whisper into your sali, your spirit, and feed you. And then put out some food for your ancestors as well, the ones that lived in villages, the ones that listened to the matriarchs and the elders. Put out food for them, the ones that kept everything in balance and worked with Mother Earth. Put out some food for them as well, like that. And we can return to holistic wellness and create that around us. And so the challenges that I see, one of the greatest challenges of cultural revitalization is for sure language, and we heard that. But the one thing that we are missing are elders. We have very, 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 very few elders left, straight from the culture, straight from the culture. I sat with them. I listened to their word, and I loved the way that they spoke and the way that they communicated and shared and gave and gave and gave. But most of them are not here anymore. And so to return to a place of wellness, we need to rekindle this bank of elders who once raised children, not the parents. Most people don't know the first thing about indigenous governance or education. And those things we need to learn. We need to learn those intimately. And then we can place that into our village. We can place that into our family. Because the elders are the key. The elders are the ones. People think we're Umanug Indians like Walt Disney and chiefs that Umanugged and wiggled their fingers and people jumped. It was never lived on this land. And most of what you would consider a chieftain would be a matriarch anyhow. The government would only speak to men. That's why we believe that they're only men chiefs. But that's a lie. So we are governed by matriarchal elders and elders. We're educated by them as well. A line unbroken of wisdom, giving that wisdom to the child for tens of thousands of years until that child becomes the elder giving the wisdom again. And now that line's been broken in colonialism. They destroyed their elders through enormous warring thousands of years ago. But we can heal that. We can heal our bodies, our minds, our spirits, our emotions, and then we can heal this world. We'll always have technical difficulties. So we can heal that just by coming together and praying and give medicine to our ancestors like that. And know that we have to become the elder who's going to raise the child once again. Someday we can get home to that. Heiska, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And with all that being said, I would just like to name and mention again, we had the honor and privilege on Thursday to open up this gathering. We had the Kalapuya elders, Esther and Shannon Stutzman, come here and bless us with their stories and their wisdom right after we lit our sacred fire. So I would love to invite you to rub your hands together, send some energy out to Esther and Shannon Stutzman, Kalapuya people of this land. Thank them and give them gratitude. And also to Sisters of the One Drum for holding it down on the ceremony and the drum here. Thank you. We have just a couple minutes left, 3 minutes. So our final question is, what is one seed of wisdom that you would like to offer to future generations?
The good thing is you sent it ahead of time, so I have my...
If you're in a space, dehumanization is a red flag. If there's dehumanization somewhere in the system, and it is not fundamental or necessary, we can figure it out, keeping humanity of people and not the humanity, the more than humanity honored in the space. Dehumanization is a red flag.
Where listening is not happening, oppression thrives.
All right. As I was so blessed to be told by an elder who's now an ancestor, Grandma Agnes, who came into so many of the gatherings that many of us got to go to, and she reminded us, we're all water babies. And truly, water is life, and that's the foundation. That's the one thing we'd like to think that all humans could remember. Water is life for the forest. Water is life for the salmon. Water is life for the orcas. Water is life for each one of us, and water was life for each one of our ancestors. So how we perceive and live and love water will tell us everything about the fate of humanity on this beautiful earth.
I was privileged to be at Alexa Garcia's workshop yesterday, and two terms that I heard from them were terror regulation and solidarity economics. And so it's got me thinking our obligation to regulate with the earth, right? To be in relationship with earth and that way regulate our bodies in reciprocity, making offerings of dysregulation, receiving regulation, so that we can then co-regulate, so that we can then terror-regulate with a larger ecosystem. And from this place, start to soften some of the constriction given to us by empire, some of the extraction models, because there's a lot of resource around these circles, and land back, supporting projects with folks of color, people who are working in cultural and climate restoration. Let that flow from that terror-regulated place. Let us start releasing and spreading out those resources, because they're here in pockets, and we are not meant to die with more than we need. So terror regulating, the Taurus. For solidarity economics, where can you release a little of that constriction, whether it's time, whether it's money, community resource? We are not meant to hoard. So speaking that overtly into this space, because there's a lot that's been given to us by colonialism for keeping to ourselves. So where can we release? Where can we be in solidarity with our economics? And how can that come from a place of good obligation, not guilt, but true giving, true reciprocity, gift economy?
Like our ancestors told us, they said, help one another. Can we say that together? Help one another. Love one another. Pray for one another. Heal one another. The one another is not just this human family that we see in front of us, this beautiful human family where we have all the colors that the Creator created, all the beautiful colors the Creator created. Never be ashamed of the color on your skin, no matter what it is, how fair or how dark. It's beautiful. It's the Creator. We're all representations of the divine, as well as these other beings that are around us. And I'll leave you with one teaching that I heard as the elders stand up and speak in the Chakaitlung, in the longhouse of our people. And one elder man, he said, the greatest gift that I can ever receive in my entire lifetime is your presence. So know that when we're together, the sharing of spirit is something we will always take with us. The love that we have in these moments is eternal. And our relationships we build with each other and each other way out there and these other sacred beings are eternal. And all of the things that we think that we possess or care about, my precious, they're not going to travel along with us. when we leave this the sacred Mother Earth. But these things that we hold here will. Haiska, thank you.
That was good. That was rich. That was good.
I want to give gratitude for these vultures that have been circling over us this entire time. I want to give gratitude to each of you for the presence that you've offered, the space that you've offered these elders. It was such elders, young elders. Y'all are, yeah, it's just a fact. It was an absolute honor to co-curate these questions. It took a lot of thinking to figure out what do we want to ask, and I just want to thank you for showing up. I want to thank you all. My name is Sonia again. I'm a co-founder of Reciprocity Music, and it is my work to work with the collective presence, and we did it. Thank you. Thank you for this medicine.
Thank you so much, everyone. We've got a beautiful evening ahead, so nourish yourselves, rest, and we'll see you soon. And we have Singing the Bones with Lydia Violet right here, coming up in 15 minutes.